Hey guys, I'm back. I know it's been quite a long time since I've recorded a single video of me talking or posted anything for that matter. But yeah, this is going to be hopefully the first of many videos that I put out. And I'll make a separate video probably explaining, where I've been the last 2 years and why I stopped making videos and whether or not I'm going to continue making videos on other things or whatnot. But right now I'm going to mainly start talking about one of the major reasons why I stopped making videos, and it's because for the last 2 years I've been working on a indie 2D RPG game. So yeah, for the last 2 years I've been working on this game. You may have seen my trailer that came out a couple months ago. It's my teaser. It's called Looters of Atlantis. I've probably started working on it at the end of 2023, so maybe a few months after I stopped posting videos. And then a few months ago I posted the teaser because we just reached our kind of early alpha stage. Or at least that's what we're calling it, at least based on our milestones. I think about last year we were trying to go to publishers and all that when we were nowhere near ready. So yeah, I want to make this kind of a series videos where I blog about the game, where I talk about explaining the game, what it is, what I've been working on, and yeah. So let's just get right into it. So this will be like kind of dev blog number 1, and hopefully these get better over time. So if you're interested in this game, I'll talk more about that in just a second, like how to find out more about it. Starting with the fact that if you haven't joined a Discord, I'll link that in the description. I have my Discord for my YouTube, obviously, which I'll also link in the description if I haven't linked it on my channel. But I'll also link the Discord we made a while back for the actual game itself. If you're interested in asking questions about it, following up with the progress, and potentially being like a closed alpha playtester, because right now we're in closed alpha. And we're hoping to get to a more open alpha depending on how many people play it and how much more stable version of a game we get to, because a lot of things change with the game. Older versions of the game become less playable, so I want to make it where the essentials are all there, so that when you load new games it works, there's no crashes, so that all the bugs that you look for and find are just bugs that we're looking for. So anyway, so what is this game? What am I even talking about? This is Looters Atlantis, like I said. This is a top-down 2D game. All the art and assets in this are placeholders for the most part. Either going to be used as inspiration for later when we actually get a real artist, or just art that's there that we have from a free or cheap bundle pack. So yeah, some of it I've created, some of it I didn't. But pretty much the entire game I coded myself. I designed the layout, UI, everything myself. A lot of it's still a work in progress. Even though it's been worked on constantly for 2 years. One of those years I had started my new job that I'm not working currently. So yeah, just to kind of give a quick update. I'll talk more about that in my other video. But yeah, so this game is a card collecting game, or deck builder, or it's actually both. So this is a card collecting deck builder game, and it's a pirate themed game, if you haven't been able to kind of tell from the islands in the background. I won't go into so much of the lore or the breakdown of it, but I'm just going to kind of break down what we have so far, and then break down kind of what I plan on working on next along this series of videos. So right now I don't have any games loaded. The menu, I just added this literally like this week. So this menu system right here, the settings, this was an older menu system before. I really wish I would have started. This series of vlogs is long overdue, so let's just get right into it. So we have new game, which is going to be the only thing that people can see when they actually play test the game, and we have sandbox mode, which is our dev mode to be able to dev test the game and showcase it to people and stuff. So we made an entire game of just for me and my buddy I'm working on with. So it's just me and my friend working on it. He's like the lead designer of the game. He comes up with the lore, the ideas, the story, the structure of the game, the concepts, the cards, everything. And I come up and I pretty much bring it to life. So here we're gonna start a new game. We have the character selection. And before I kind of get into more of the game, I'm going to link the video that Skylight Awakens put out a few weeks ago. He has some gameplay of the game as well if you'd like to check that out as well. But that video is also part of why I'm making this video in this series, because I should have done this a long time ago, and 2, I would like to explain some of the game better ourselves, because I feel like it would do the game more justice, and Exposure is good, but we want to make sure the exposure we have is like actually illustrating what the game is about. So that's what I'll be doing here. So here we have our 3 characters right here. This 4th character is just a dev character for us to be able to test everything, so I'll explain that more in a second. So basically when you play the game, you'll have these 3 characters right now. There's going to be more. None of these names are permanent. None of the lore on them is permanent right now. I think my friend is working on all the lore for the characters right now. And yeah, so they have, your portrait, you have your character sprite, and again, all these sprites are temporary. This one I drew right here, you could kind of tell. I'm not an artist by any means. For the final game, we want an artist that actually knows what they're doing. I'm not an artist, so we're trying to go through publishers. So with the character, you have your portrait, you have your sprite, you have your stats. So there used to be 6, now there's only 5. It used to be ammo and tech and sorcery. So sorcery got changed to arcana, so now we have melee, which is like your physical weapons and whatnot, your physical attacks. You have arcana, which is magic, which used to be sorcery. You have tech, which used to just be bombs and stuff, but now it includes guns, bombs, all kinds of things like that. Gear, all that type of, not gear, but I'll get to gear in a second. You have endurance, which is like your speed mainly, and also how many cards you can draw, energy, stuff like that. And yammer, which is like your speech, kind of. It's a really big mechanic as well. All these stats are very important to the core. It's like RPG meets, Slay the Spire. So Slay the Spire is a lot of what this game is very inspired by in some ways, at least in some of the mechanics, but it takes an RPG approach. It has like a not linear story, so it could be kind of played in any way. So like you can see some of the islands in the background. The other part of this game is that it's very inspired by Sid Meier's Pirates. So if you've never heard of that game, it's an older game. I think they made 2 of them possibly. I can't remember. I've never played it, and I plan on playing it. But my friend, that's what he wanted us to kind of make the game like as a spiritual successor to, since there isn't really a good one out there. And so that's kind of what we are aiming to do, is do that combined with some other aspects. So if you ever play games like Hearthstone, Slay the Spire, stuff like that, there'll be a lot of that here, but there's also a little bit of an open world aspect to it. And yeah, so each character also has a special. You have your, like some characters are like, this one's a more gun tech build character, that's why their tech is 13. That's why their specials have to do with cannons and stuff. And so you're and then like for this guy, he's gonna have just different tags. They all have different tags. Or sorry, the specials. Yeah, so you have tags and specials. Tags are mainly used for dialogue and conversations. Think of a game where like you have certain options unlocked based on what tag you have, and certain things can happen in the game, and the specials kind of affect that, but also they affect other things in the game, like they give you bonuses or special abilities. Like this one lets you sail faster. I'm gonna play I'll play Ian. Then here I've made the place where you can type in the name of your character. Let's do devlog. Yeah, again, all this is very rudimentary, but still work in progress for sure. So yeah, here, like, when you first start the game, you're actually going to be starting in the dialogue already, but since I'm in sandbox mode, I'm able to walk around and test things without starting dialogue. So the game will start up, you'll wake up, and you'll be talking to Salty Doug, who will kind of be like the tutorial guy. The island we're on is called Tudor and Royale. Those are the 2 islands put into one. And if you haven't picked up on the pun, it's tutorial island. So the basics of this first part of the game is you start in the tutorial. You start by learning some of the basic mechanics, and yeah, I'll go into these screens in a bit, but first let's talk to Salty. Again, this UI is very placeholder right now. I'm literally, that's the next thing on my to-do list, is to update the UI, kind of create some sprites and stuff and update that. Other than that, I think the health bar is okay for now. So yeah, you can like click on things, you can click space, you can see I got a lot of stuff in here for it being an alpha, but like, there's other islands in the game. There's sailing. You can see the boat up here. The boat will be hidden when you first start the game. but since I'm in the dev mode, I can see everything. Alright, so let's start this. So, you know, he's gonna say his thing, and I'll let you read. This video is not meant to, like, kind of spoil the game or showcase, you know, the dialogue. I'll probably do a separate video, kind of doing a playthrough, but this is more to break down kind of what we've been working on and highlight some of those things. But basically the gist of this first part of the game is that you're going to you need your ship. Your ship is wrecked. That ship, which is the ship I showed you up there. When you first start the game, you don't have a ship, and this ship that he is talking about is his ship that you know, wrecked, which I think he's going to be mentioning in the next part of dialogue, not this part. So you can see here we have a thing that like replaces the name with whatever you put your character name as, and we have options. Like you can do WASD to do the, you know, navigation of that, as well as your mouse. So we've got so yeah, there's some lore dump there. He's gonna say we're on island of Royale. So Tudor is the North Island. It's north of this island. And then I'm gonna say, yep. You have a ship on your row. So yeah. So basically he's going to say, yeah, you, doesn't matter if you need a ship or not right now. Basically the gist is we're stuck on this island. We can't leave even if we got on the ship, because there are 2 magical storms cast by this guy named Harlan the Hex that have kind of blocked off the ports from your boat being able to get away. And you'll see those after this set of dialogue and stuff. Once we, you know, roam around a little bit, I'll show you where those storms are. And again, those sprites are placeholder right now. They'll be animated. They'll look more cool and magical and stylized. Yeah, so let's go here, and then we're gonna start the fight. So this is the first kind of mini game. So this game is a game full of different mini games, kind of like if you look into Sid Meier's Pirates. It was a game full of mini games. It's kind of the same thing here. You may recognize this kind of style of you know, card games. So here you can see I have tool tips that I created for some of the cards, and those will explain more in detail kind of what each card does, what bonuses and scaling they have. And cards can do things like create status effects, which I'll explain what status effects are later. If you're not familiar with them, basically they just add a different effect, buffs, debuffs, all that type of stuff. And then you've got your attack and defense. In this game we're calling it parry. Every card has a base damage, and the RPG part of it comes in where your stats. So he has 10 on everything, so everything is at a base damage. So you're right now what you're seeing is base damage, so base defense, base damage. So if you, let's say you had 11 melee, the scaling of this, it says for every additional point of melee you do +1 damage. So if you had 11 melee, you do 11 damage with this basic thrust. Since we're in the tutorial, what I'll have it do is highlight this card, because this is the card he's telling you to use, that he gives you to attack with, just to kind of give you the basics. So he says do this, and there you go. Also, you can ignore this dev button. That's going to be gone in the playable version of the game, obviously. You have this button right here, which will show a chat log of what's happening in the game. I'll probably rework how that works and make it kind of accessible everywhere. Here you have your energy. This is how much you start with at every round. That can be changed with a number of different modifiers, and I'll go into those later. And then you have your ammo, which will be used for ammo cards. So we're gonna go ahead and attack. So I use that card. I can keep attacking him. I'm gonna go ahead and use this card. This card right here is a different texture because it's a gear card, which I'll explain how gear works in a bit after this match. So yep, got some sound effects. So all of these sound effects are also, for the most part, placeholders. Some of them might stay for the most part, depending on how they are. Again, you know, once we get play testers and stuff, we'll take feedback on that. So now we have the second part of this tutorial fight, where it tells you how to block. And so basically blocking is, I have it where you like can drag it pretty much anywhere within this kind of range of the fight. To block yourself, so that if you have a card like that's kind of all the way over here, you don't have to like drag it all the way over to yourself. Whereas with attacks, you have to drag on the target that is available for that card. So like this one, you target whoever's chosen. So in this case, it's only Salty Doug. I'm gonna go ahead and give myself 20 shield. The tutorial will have it where you have to block all the damage coming in to proceed through the next step. just so you can get the basics down. And now he's gonna do kind of a round of different attacks, and these attacks are called intense. You can see here the name and what it does. So he's gonna give me weaken 2 after he does 7 damage right here. So weaken's one of the status effects, kind of one of the starting status effects that we rebounced from another status effect that we had. And I'll explain what weaken does once he actually gives it to me. So here I'm going to use this card. I'm going to show you what an ammo card kind of looks like. So you have 1 ammo, warning shot does 15. Boom. So that did that. Now I have 0 ammo. You can see here, here's the log updating right here. We're going to go ahead and click next turn. So he did that. So now you can see weaken does 20. I do 25% less damage for that many stacks. So 2 rounds in this case. So you can see here now it's updated the damage on all the cards. So now instead of doing 10, I do 8 damage. Also, you can see the tilt up says it's unlimited, which means that I can have more than 4 copies of this card in my deck. So I'll explain how the deck part works after this as well. So you have a deck, and you can create up to so many decks in each game. And that's kind of the fun of this game, is that you can build your deck however, whatever style you want. But you can only have 4 of a card at a time. The basic thrust and basic parry are the starting cards, so you have those. They're unlimited. Now you can see this card turned into a reload card, which might turn upside down. We're probably going to change how this reload, style looks. It's kind of a little scuffed right now, but it does the job for now. So there you go. I got my 3 ammo back. So reloading gives you 3 full ammo, depending on if you have a belt. Maybe it gives you more. So I'm gonna go ahead and attack him. Once you get him down to 50 health in the tutorial, that'll kind of end the tutorial so that you're not stuck in this tutorial. So now he's blocked, so he just blocked that 4 damage. What was that damage I did? 3 damage, because I have a weaken right now. So I did 3 damage, so he had 5 shield. Let's go ahead and, there we go, deal 6 damage to him. So now how he's down to that, I'm gonna go and then go ahead and use this. Now I have 20 shield. It's gonna end because I got him down. Yep, so now I've shown him that. He's gonna heal me, and now it's gonna give me reward in the dialogue. So the dialogue right now is this is how it's displays everything. I mean, you're probably familiar with most dialogue systems. We're gonna have a different dialogue system for the town coming up here soon. Right now it's just using the same interface. You see you have XP, so there's gonna be levels in this game. You have the currency called pieces of 8, which is basically like your gold in the game, but instead of being gold, it's silver. And then you can get cards from winning fights and stuff. So he gave me 4 cards, and I'll explain what happens to those cards. He will explain. So he's talking now about his ship. So there's going to be sailing in this game. It gives you this starting ship called the Imminent Castaway, and it only will allow us to get from here to the next island, pretty much. That's about it. Once you get to the next island, you're going to need to get your own ship, which will be explained in the lore later. So now he's explaining that he's giving us another kind of lore dump and giving us another quest after trying to just to walk us through the gameplay, and I think some of this dialogue might need to be kind of reworked just to kind of better explain what's actually happening and why he's telling us this stuff without it being too, expose. But yeah, so he's giving us a map. It leads us to treasure, and the treasure is meant to pay off his debt that he has. So we're going to help him do that so that he can get his ship fixed. So that's kind of the gist here. So he's going to say, if I pick this option, it's not going to explain the minigame to me, I don't think. If I pick this option, it should tell me what to do. So you're going to need some cannons. I know where to steal them. Use some crew. Then need to fight Harlan's right-hand man, Jimmy Hands. So he's going to explain some lore. And now he's going to explain how the deciphering the code works. So this is another minigame which we're about to play. And it's going to be where you get a map, you get some sort of puzzle thing, and basically you're given X amount of symbols, and it can be a certain length. It's gonna have, like, you could kind of read this on your own, but I'll explain it once we get into the actual minigame. This game is gonna be called Mastermind. Yeah, you can see I have the academic tag because I have the Jack of all trades tag that gives me tags sometimes, which I'll explain later. But yeah, if I click academic, I think it just makes it easier. I don't remember exactly what academic does. So now if I click this, we're here. I don't have any music for this screen yet. So here's the next minigame. So this is called Masterminds, like I mentioned before. Typically there's 3 symbols here, but I think one of them is being repeated twice. I think it's this one. So typically you'll see 3 out of this. There's gonna be 9 symbols in the end version of this. Yeah, so here we have 7 guesses. Each row is a guess. Once we decipher the whole puzzle, it'll reveal some of the characters. Basically, when we get the way we guess the puzzle is we guess which symbol goes in which slot and in which and how many times and what order, whatever. So first, I'm gonna click this. I can click backspace to delete something if I wanted to. I'm gonna take a guess and save this. Okay, so that wasn't bad. So here's the thing: if it's gonna either be highlighted red or highlighted blank, or probably gonna put an X through it if it's just the wrong symbol. If it's yellow, it's the right symbol but in the wrong place. So these two basically need to be switched. And now for the green ones right here, these are good. These are in the correct place and the correct symbol. So you can see some of the code has been revealed here. And now if I do the code again, and then I do this, and then this right here, there we go. So now it's revealed the full code, and the code the cipher code is basically tells us where to go on the map to find this treasure that he's told us about. Tells you that you need to go 50 paces, or 60 paces down south, I think is what he said. Yeah, southern cliffs. So, and then basically you'll run into these type of puzzles that will tell you where treasure is. Sometimes it could be other things. I think right now it's mainly just finding treasure maps and stuff. So continue, and then he explains more of what you got. So now he's giving you more quests to recruit crew, and we need crew in order to pilot the ship, and then we need cannons to man the ship. So he's going to tell you to scare away some cannons from and Port Pollux, which means that we need to steal the cannons, is what he's basically saying. So there's going to be another stealing minigame as well, that I'll show you later. And he's going to give us some more cards. To do this, don't forget to add to your deck, hit B. So B is going to be the button you hit so you can see down here, deck builder. So you have your journal, your deck builder, and your gear. So starting with the journal, or sorry, not the journal, the deck builder, the main kind of port. Here I have kind of everything unlocked because I'm actually going to go back to the main menu and start a new game as Ian, and I'm going to skip this. I'm going to cut back to showing you what it's like playing the game. So now we're back. Now I'm playing in the actual story mode. So now you'll see kind of what it looks like when you have, cards in your deck. There'll also be an upgrading cards thing that you'll get later in the game. So here I've got some decks loaded. I'm probably going to change the way this looks, this screen here. You can create a new deck by clicking that. You can save the deck. And then there's also a filter pop-up. You can filter out some of the cards. So let's say I want to just have melee cards. Boom, there's my melee cards. And then you can reset it. So yeah, I've made a working filter system. You can see I have this is my starting deck. 20 cards is like the minimum that we have right now. Right now it's not being enforced, but later on it will be. You won't be able to exit the deck or use the deck that you're editing without having at least a minimum of 20 cards in the deck, which is why you're able to have as many of these basic thrusts and basic pairs as you want. That's why it's unlimited. Whereas the other ones, you can have a max of 4. So you can see out of 4 there, these are unlimited. So now I've just added some defensive feints. I can remove them like this or add them like this. I can also drag and drop them to add them. There we go. I can also inspect them. So you can see I can kind of inspect it a little bit. You can click this plus button too to add them or remove them. Go ahead and save this. Overwrite the starting deck for this character. Yeah, and there we go. So that's the deck builder. You can kind of click through the pages when you get more cards. Yeah, so that's the deck builder. And now I'm going to go over the journal real quick. So the journal, this is going to be completely redesigned. But right now, this is kind of how it looks. You have your journal entries. It's going to have like a tabulated system probably, and it's going to have like your quest and stuff kind of laid out. So you have your island. Each island has its own set of quests. So here's like kind of my main journal entry here. It's going to have that same message from the journal entry from the map that I just read through the Mastermind Minigame, and then it's going to also have the entry about what he told me about the port. So if you ever get lost, you're like, okay, what am I doing? You know, most games like this kind of have a journal. This is gonna look similar to this. You kind of see the pages are animating. I'll probably do something similar to this when I redesign this. Oh yeah, you can also go between these pages, and then I'll go right here to the gear page. You can see here I've got some tooltips for this as well. I'm also going to put the level on the screen for your character, probably somewhere right around here. I'm not sure yet, but right now, yeah, the leveling isn't in the game yet, but it will be very soon. So you see here, you can see your tags listed, you can see your stats, you can see your specials and what they do. So those are all there. So this is kind of how the gear interface works. You have your different slots, you have your main weapon, your offhand. You can also do dual wielding, you can do two-handed weapons. That's all in the game. So this is a one-handed weapon right now. That's the only weapon I have right now. To get weapons, there will be loot chests around the map that look like little treasure chests, and you'll be able to collect those. Obviously, the game will not explain that, but I will just kind of demonstrate that later in the game. And these gear cards, or not sure, gear cards, these gear items will make, some of them will make cards. So like, usually the weapons will make cards. So this one makes that rusty slash card that we used at the beginning. So I can de-equip it with right click, and then I can either re-equip it with right click, which will automatically equip to the slot that's available. So in this case, the main hand is available. Then if I had another one, it would go to offhand. You can see the tooltip there. I can also do this, and I could equip it to my offhand manually. So this will tell you which slot you want to put it in. When you de-equip it, it goes into the gear pool. Later on, we'll have, whenever I kind of just get around to working on it, I'll have a shipbuilding inventory mechanic where you'll actually have pieces of your ship that you get to customize your ship and all that stuff, because there will be a whole ship inventory backpack system, I guess, as well. So that's going to be a whole nother UI I have to add later on. And yeah, those are the three main UI screens, other than, your settings. This is just a training dummy that you want to train with him and test out different cards. So right now we have two kind of to-do quests. You find the buried treasure, which is the one he told me about in the Mastermind game, and then recruit a crew, which we need to do it to get the ship. So now you can see the ship is gone. Ship is not there. So even if I click here, there's no ship here. We kind of have the beaches denoted like this. So in order to get on the ship, you'll have to stand on the beach, kind of away from the port. We're gonna kind of change how the ports work and all that. So we kind of have like the way the kind of the top-down system works is you get close enough to something, you can click on it and interact with it, which I'll show you again here. You can kind of talk to him, you can ask him questions, and then we have kind of these paths and stuff. Again, all this art is placeholder. Probably going to change the tile set and how we do it. There's some collision and depth sorting that's been added to the game as well. Yeah, again, this is a long overdue video. This did not all exist last year or the year before. So, yeah. So here we go. We found another loot chest. So he gave me a card and 25 pieces of 8. You can see it updated there. And then there's the save icon. So it auto saves after most dialogue. So if I go to my load, here's the save system. So you can see here's my latest save that it just did. I can even load that if I wanted to. There it is. Boom. So it loaded there for whatever reason. Yeah, and then you have my other game I was just playing. Oh, you have some roaming pirates around here. So thank you guys for watching. If I make this a part 1, part 2 thing, you can watch more in the next part whenever that comes out. I'm hoping to make this a regular series. And yeah.